What if everything you've heard about Iran is only half the story? Not wrong, but incomplete, because behind the headlines, there's another reality, one that most people never see. This is Tehran, the capital of Iran, a city of millions, and it's nothing like what you expect. Before the sun even rises, Tehran is already awake. The mountains in the north, still covered in snow, begin to glow under the first light. Below them, a massive city stretches endlessly. Highways, apartments, crowded streets, a living, breathing system of people. But here's the part that changes everything. For a year, the world has seen Iran through one lens: conflict, sanctions, politics, tension. But a city is never just headlines, because behind every headline, there are people. And inside Tehran, life doesn't stop. Morning begins quietly. Inside small apartments, families prepare for the day. Tea is poured, bread is warmed, simple meal, flatbread, cheese, fresh herbs are shared quickly. Parents get ready, children prepare for school, and then everything shifts. Suddenly the city explodes into motion. Traffic floods the streets. Cars pack the highways. Motorbikes cut through narrow gaps. People rush toward offices, shops, universities. Tehran is not slow. It's fast, relentless, alive. And this is where most people get it wrong, because this doesn't feel like a restricted place. It feels like any other major capital. Busy, chaotic, full of energy. Step into the metro. It's modern, crowded, efficient. Thousands of people moving at once, some scrolling on their phones, some lost in thought, some just watching the stations pass by. And for a moment, it feels completely normal, not like a place frozen in conflict. But then, you step outside, and something else appears. Markets. Tehran's bazaars are not just busy, they're alive. Rows of shops stretch endlessly. Clothes, spices, electronics, jewelry. The air is thick with movement, with sound, with life. Vendors speak softly. Customers bargain. The smell of tea and food fills the space. And then you realize something important. This is not just a marketplace. It's a world. And this is where the illusion starts to break. Because what many people don't see is how normal life actually feels here. People laugh, friends meet, young people gather in parks, families walk together in the evening. Despite everything you've heard, life is still happening, and not just happening, thriving in its own way. Walk into a park, you'll see groups sitting on the grass, food brought from home, stories being shared, tea being poured again and again. Some play music, some just talk for hours. No rush, no pressure, just presence. And this is something rarely shown because it doesn't fit the narrative, but it defines the culture. Hospitality here is real. If you are a stranger, people will still help you, guide you, talk to you. Not because they have to, because it's natural. And yet, this is not the full picture either, because Tehran is not perfect. There is pressure, economic pressure, rising prices, limited opportunities. You can feel it in conversations. You can see it in daily decisions. And still, life moves forward. People go to work, study, build businesses, make plans, dream, because stopping is not an option. And this is where Tehran becomes difficult to define, because it's not just one thing. On one side, you see modern buildings, shopping centers, busy highways, a growing city. On the other, you see tradition, cultural values, religious influence, long-standing norms, and both exist together, not separately, at the same time. And this is where most outsiders misunderstand. They expect extremes, either a completely closed society or a fully open, modern city. But Tehran is neither. It's something in between. And that's where the real story is. Because in this in-between space, life becomes interesting. You'll see women in hijab walking confidently through busy streets. You'll see young people using smartphones, following global trends. You'll see traditional markets right next to modern malls. Everything exists together, and that's when you start to understand this city is layered, not simple, not one-dimensional, human. And this is just the beginning, because as the day continues, Tehran reveals something even more unexpected, something most people never notice. Now here's where things get interesting, because what you see on the streets is only half of it. Step inside a cafe. From the outside, it looks ordinary, nothing special, just another small shop on a busy street. But once you walk in, everything changes. The noise disappears, the pace slows down, the atmosphere becomes calm, soft lighting, quiet music, small groups of people sitting close together. Some are working on laptops, some are talking for hours, some are just sitting, doing nothing. And this is something most people don't expect. Because while alcohol is banned, social life didn't disappear. It adapted. Instead of bar, there are cafes. Instead of loud parties, there are long conversations. Instead of chaos, there is connection. Friends meet here after long days. Couples sit quietly, sharing moments. Ideas are exchanged. Stories are told. Life continues, just in a different form. And then you notice something else, the youth. Tehran is full of young people, students, creators, dreamers, and they don't match the simple image many outsiders have. Yeah, there are rules. Dress codes exist. Women wear hijab in public. But within those boundaries, expression still finds a way. Look closely. You'll see style, color choices, fashion details, confidence. Not loud, not obvious, but present. You'll see men experimenting with hairstyles, clothing, personality. It's subtle, but it's real. A quiet form of identity. And this is where things become even more layered, because there are two versions of life here, public and private. Outside, people follow the rules. They move within structure, they adapt. But inside, everything shifts. Inside homes, inside gatherings, inside trusted spaces, people relax. They laugh louder, they speak more freely, they become more themselves. And this dual reality is something most outsiders never fully understand, because they only see one side. But the real Tehran exists in both. Now step inside a home. At the entrance, shoes come off. Immediately, you are welcomed. Tea is served, always. No delay, no hesitation. Food begins to appear, prepared with care, shared with intention, and something changes. You are no longer a guest. You are part of the moment. This is Iranian hospitality, not forced, not exaggerated, natural. People insist you eat more. They offer what they have, even if it's not much, and they do it without expectation. Meals here are not just about food, they are about connection. Rice, kebab, stews like gourmet sabzi, fresh herbs, yogurt. Everything is shared. Families sit together. They talk, they listen, they laugh. And in these moments, you see the real Iran. Not politics, not headlines, just people. But step outside again, and reality returns. Because life here is not easy. Economic pressure is constant. Prices change quickly. Opportunities are limited. You can hear it in conversations. You can see it in decisions. People think carefully, plan carefully, spend carefully, and yet they keep going because they have to. Young people continue studying. Universities are full. Competition is intense. Everyone is trying to build something, a future, a path, an opportunity. Some want to stay, some want to leave, but all of them are thinking ahead. And then there's something else, creativity, even under limitations. It exists. Film, art, music, not always loud, not always public, but powerful. Walk through certain parts of the city and you'll see it. Murals, small galleries, creative spaces, people expressing ideas, thoughts, emotions, finding ways to be heard, even when it's not easy. And this is where Tehran becomes impossible to simplify. because it's not just one story, it's many happening at the same time. Now as the sun begins to set, the city changes again. And what happens next is something most people never expect. But beyond the visuals, beyond the architecture, beyond the ancient stones, Jerusalem reveals something deeper, something that no camera can fully capture. It's the feeling of continuity. You begin to realize this is not just a place people visit. This is a place people belong to, spiritually, historically, emotionally, and that is why Jerusalem feels different from any other city on earth. As the day slowly fades, the golden sunlight softens, shadows stretch across the old stone walls, and the city begins to transform again. The noise of the day slowly settles, and a quiet, almost sacred calm takes over. The call to prayer echoes once more. Church bells ring in the distance, and in the Jewish quarter, voices rise in evening prayer. 3 different faiths, 3 different traditions, all sharing the same sky, the same ground, the same history. It's something you don't fully understand until you stand there yourself, and then comes the night. Jerusalem at night is not dark, it glows. The stones, pale and ancient, reflect the soft lights of the city, giving everything a warm, golden aura. Walking through the narrow streets now feels different, more intimate, more reflective. The crowds thin out, the shops begin to close, and the city reveals a quieter, more personal side of itself. You start to notice things you missed before. The sound of footsteps echoing through an empty alley, the flicker of candlelight in a small window, the distant hum of prayer carried by the wind. And this is where Jerusalem speaks the loudest, not in noise but in silence. Because Jerusalem is not just about what you see, it's about what you feel when everything slows down. Standing there, you begin to think about everything this city has witnessed. Empires rising and falling, wars fought, kingdoms lost, moments of destruction and moments of hope. And yet, Jerusalem still stands. That's what makes it powerful. Not perfection, but endurance. Every stone here has survived something. Every wall carries a story. Every corner holds memories of people who lived, prayed, struggled, and believed. And somehow, all of that energy is still present. This is why millions of people from all over the world feel drawn to this place. Not because it's perfect, but because it's real, raw, layered, unfiltered by time. Jerusalem doesn't try to impress you. It doesn't need to, because its power is already there, in its history, in its silence, in its presence. And maybe that's the biggest thing the world doesn't tell you. Jerusalem is not just about religion, it's about human experience at its deepest level. Faith, conflict, hope, survival, all in one place. As you leave the old city, passing through its ancient gates one last time, you don't feel like you're just leaving a destination. You feel like you're leaving a chapter of history behind. But something stays with you, a feeling, a quiet awareness that you've just walked through one of the most important places on earth. And maybe that's why people keep coming back. Not to see something new, but to feel that same connection again. Because Jerusalem doesn't just show you history, it makes you feel it. And once you've felt it, it never really leaves you.